D, other, number 1 will be discussion of the budget workshops and hearings, specifically trying to set some dates. And then under new business, excuse me, I'll wait. People are writing. It's like when I watch people at church and they're still looking up the Bible verse. You wait till everybody's looking at you. Okay, then under new business C, we will be looking at and voting on resolution 2025-02. This has to do with the 2026 revenue. It's the standard thing we do every year at this time, and I hope there won't be too much of a surprise on that. Are there any other additions to the agenda? Ma'am.
Hi, I'm Caitlin, bringing it back for the second month in a row to propose a resolution for continued use of the community space for the community garden.
So under guests in public, D, number 1 will be the community garden. Anything else? All right. The bad news is we got the new computer and the internet went down. So when we come to it, we do not have minutes and we do not have financials. We can call a special meeting during one of the public workshops or hearings to vote on those because they will be advertised. And we can include that information, but we'll have to decide that when we get down to old business D number 1. This is what happens when you really rely on technology. I think we get the typewriters back out and be done with it. Sheriff Blakesley or a representative is not here tonight. Commissioner Smiley or a representative is not here tonight. Chief McAmeren.
All right, month of September had a total of 168 calls for Fire District 2. Town of Metaline Falls had 5 calls. There were 5 EMS calls and 1 motor vehicle collision. That's up 1 from last year. So, not a big change. September is about on track. We do have a total of 1,881 total calls for this year, for 2025. We only had 2,255 for the year last year. So if we continue on the path we're on, we'll have more calls this year, calls for service than we did last year. Any questions?
Numbers are good. Thank you. And community garden.
So I'm back.
Yes, you are.
So as you might have, I guess some of you remember last time, but for those of you who weren't, you may have noticed that on the other side of town, we put up some garden beds and we founded a community garden that we've seen some really great successes with and would like to formally come to the council to ask for continued use of that space. We took some of the feedback that you provided us with last time, including really trying to sketch and outline plans and an understanding with Monty, who's been immensely helpful to ensure that any kinds of structures that we would place, like a shed for safe storage of materials or even potentially fencing, are all going to be done in a way that would not be disruptive and could hopefully maybe even be somewhat helpful for things like weed control. We put down wood shavings or things like that. So our request, I guess I'm not super familiar with how local government functions. Should I like kind of outline exactly like the time that we're requesting? Do you ask questions? Like how does this go?
Questions, council? I have one. How many volunteers did you have this season?
This season, how many volunteers do we have? So we have our 4 board members, and then how many Girl Scouts?
Ooh, good question. I would-
Just a guess.
I would say at least 6.
Wow.
As well as our community pickers, who I guess technically count as volunteers. in
Yeah,
that
we've
they've
had a
been-
few people, just people harvesting straight from the garden.
Great.
Yeah.
Great. Good harvest then?
Yes, I believe we topped out at over 46 pounds of produce across the season. And this, as I mentioned, is just with 2 beds, so there's really quite a bit of potential to grow, even if we have kind of modest increases in our space usage over the next year. There also will be a wrap-up in the Selkirk Sun, I believe, next week. We sent that in over the last couple of days, so you can kind of read about our progress.
Excellent.
Publishes.
Are you still thinking of putting in fruit trees?
We have not committed to any specific species yet, but I don't believe we have immediate plans to do any kind of fruit trees. I think we're sticking with these raised beds. We want to approach things in a thoughtful way and be able to grow kind of community ownership of those beds is our initial priority for expansion.
What time period are you asking for?
That is a great question. So, gotta have a strong opening bid. We would like to request 15 years of potential use of this space. This is based on some guidelines that we've seen from the American Society of Community Gardens. There's like a nonprofit that has kind of guidance around that. But ultimately what we're asking for is usage of the space for long enough that the investments that we would make in infrastructure are going to make sense. Like if we have only a commitment of something like 3 to 5 years, and we do have some of these more permanent structures like fencing or like a greenhouse or a shed, it would be difficult and potentially a bit of a hardship to try to move those kinds of structures if we took root in a different location. So taking in all of your feedback from last time, we assessed that the location that we currently have, especially given the yield that we got from the really truncated growing season that we did have, we think that this is a place we could put down roots.
Comments?
How many beds do you have space for in the area you're asking for?
We've looked at some different mappings. Frankly, the beds that we built were really based on the donations and materials we received and the literal dimensions of those donations. But I think that we could do like upwards of 12 beds depending on kind of how we organize things.
Monty, does that sound feasible? I'm seeing it. Good, okay.
Sandy did draw up a plan of the proposed garden. We can forward that document to you. It's something we submitted for the Kalispell grant.
Absolutely.
I think it would be helpful to have not only that in writing, but some sort of a proposal of a contract.
Sure.
That way that any kind of contract like that would have to be voted and approved by the council, so.
Is there someone that we could maybe connect with to get feedback on a contract as we're gonna?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, who would be the best person?
Like
to
what
work with?
format?
We can probably do that.
I don't care. Who would be the best person?
Yeah.
We don't know.
We don't know.
Sam, you're Parks and Rec, right?
I did-
Yeah, I'm walking around the town all the time.
Give you a tour, we could just walk out where the spaces are
Sure.
gonna go. Happy to do that.
What the contract will probably, what you'll want to stipulate is your commitment for the time frame that you're asking, what improvements you see in the foreseeable future, what your plan is, and then a list of who your current volunteers and or board are, so that we know who we're contacting. If there seemed to be something a little hinky, we might talk to our town's attorney or get legal advice. But I will wager you bottom dollar that your Association of Community Garden people probably have similar contracts that you might use as a base.
Yeah, we can absolutely.
Definitely take a look at your umbrella organizations, because they'll guide you very well on what communities want.
And what you're asking the town for, if there's anything other than space, watering, if you're.
Yeah.
If, any sort of financial or work exchange, or, we have, well, just start there maybe.
Yeah.
And then, I think one more question, I can't remember what it was. Oh, we have like bylaws, and is there any like official documentation you want to see of our incorporation or things like that?
It's always nice to have it.
We can include it in the proposal.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That would be fine. That would be fine. I'm glad it was a successful year.
Yes. And we're planning some off-season activities as well, so keep a lookout for those. We'll post some online and some as well.
Snowman in the beds.
Probably more along the lines of like art and stuff, like just to kind of
Ah.
get, mostly for the Girl Scouts too, and possibly doing like garden planning, and that way they can sort of have like a program of what they intend to do for the year, and kind of up like a log, and just kind of like a
Disband with infrastructure you put in place, clean up to the town's satisfaction, et cetera. I don't know, that's to be negotiated, but we need some sort of protection for you and for us, should things not go according to plan.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Again, congratulations. Fun to watch. I have to ask, did you have any kind of deer or rodent problems?
We put up netting, and that was really successful at keeping.
That did
deer
the
out.
trick?
It did not observe any rodents, so I don't know if you did.
It's odd because in, I don't know how many years, we have never had deer eat our flowers down here. They have never bothered the flowers. Well, they tried, and then, yeah, and that, so the garden really had me worried, you know. But no problem.
Just
All
keep it
right.
clean.
Anything else from the public? Very good. We are tabling the meeting minute approval. We are then moving on to Mr. Rice's maintenance report.
We're good. I did send an email this morning on the wings for the plow, the revised quote. I sent it to Ed, and they'll take a check, and they have them in stock. Washington Auto Carriage. I don't remember what it was, $2,100, I think, something like that.
Okay. And I hate to say it, but given the fact that we saw snow this past weekend, no matter how, we're set for the winter?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, that's all I want to hear.
Always ready for snow.
Always. Thank you, Monty. It's nice to
And I
know.
don't know if you want me to talk about that.
Yeah, go
lawnmower guy.
ahead, go ahead. I don't, it's probably not gonna happen, given the budget,
Yeah.
but go ahead and,
And I stopped in Cascade Tractors, I was looking for something else, and they had a lawnmower in there, a 25 model. And he said that $52.99 to get it off his floor. That's what he'd sell it to us for. I don't know what the original price was on it, but it sounded like it was a discount to move it out of there so they didn't have to store it, but that was just what he said. Just throw that out there.
What size,
It was
what
a
kind of cover?
light commercial Husqvarna, 54 inch. About it.
big enough to take care of what needs to be taken care of, but not so big that it,
Yeah, the
would be
one
an
one we
issue.
have now is a 54 inch, but it's not a commercial at all. It's
Ooh,
more residential.
wow, good for the park, but not necessarily for the bushwhack.
Yeah, if we were to get a new one, it'd just be for the park and maybe the softball field, and I'd use the old one for the brush.
For the rough stuff. Any questions for Mr. Rice? We are tabling the financials.
I will say that I was able to get the treasury report done, but there's yeah, there's other materials that need to go along with it that I can't access, but they were met, and they reconciled.
And the new computer is here, so that as soon as we actually have internet, we can get the new computer up, so that will be good. Going on to council and mayor reports, Ms. Maxwell.
I don't really have a lot to report, but I will say I attended the Bigfoot meeting last night, and that's moving along.
It
A
is.
lot of good ideas.
We've got excited people. Position number 2 is open. Position number 3, Mr. McGeorge.
Well, Mark Alvin's going to be starting work soon on the Tochigi Park, and we'll get to that in a minute. He also proposed some work for the softball field. Most of this, my understanding, was going to be voluntary. It's essentially just putting in some trees and stuff around the softball field. I'm not sure if that's the way the council wants to go, but there's the plan if anyone wants to look at it.
Oh, that was nice for him to do that. We haven't heard anything else from the school district as to what they're going to pull out.
I think they were gonna use it at least one more.
One more year?
I don't know beyond that, but
Yeah.
it sounded like they were gonna continue using it for now. Okay.
Yeah, I don't think things were going to move as fast as they had hoped, so that's okay. Mr. McHenry, and you've already reported, but is there anything else that,
No, I did just notice that code enforcement's also part of my position, so.
no, those, we'll get to those
We'll
in a
get to
second.
those, okay.
We'll get
All
to
right,
those in
all
a
right.
second.
Well, then I'll back up. No, I don't have anything else.
Very good. Tessin Maxwell.
Nothing to report.
Very good. I attended my last AWC meeting, which was the October Mayor's Exchange. The council all got key rings. You always get something from them. I didn't get any gum because I think it's the same box that they've been giving us now for 3 years, so I just ignored that. The one thing at the Mayor's Exchange was a session on budgets and the constraints that specifically larger cities are facing because of how departments are done. But there were enough of us small towns there that we got a few questions answered about that. When you don't have, 6 people working on a budget that's going to be proposed, and every department is working on their own things, and so that, when it's the council that is actually putting the budget together, then the one recommendation is that when it's all said and done, just make sure that you have a really, get your public out there so that they know what they're going to be facing. And then he said, they never come to the meetings, but they'll read something in the paper. So, I think we need to, once the budgeting is done and the public hearings are over and you voted on the budget for 2026, then we present it to the town and say, this is our realities, and if you really wanted to have some input, you should have come to a meeting. And then they also talked about the fact that the last 4 major fraud cases have all been in small cities or small towns. And because it's so easy. On the other hand, Metaline Falls was held up as having a very good checks and balances system. And Ed had that confirmed when he attended his week-long workshop. So that makes me feel good that what we do is positive for what we can do. It's just a question of that. I gave the council, and I do have some extra copies if anybody is really curious. Basically, I'm getting ready to turn over in 77 days. Yes, if you go to my calendar, I'm marking off. Basically, the things that I needed to, need the next person to know what I've been doing and how I've been doing it. A lot of it has to do with the fact that I've been very involved with TED, with EDAC, with AWC, with county organizations, with the emergency preparedness work, with the PC. See, I almost got it. But a mayor isn't required to do those things. On the other hand, we don't have staff. So there's a give and take, and I wanted the council to understand that one of the things that might be happening, especially with budget cutbacks, for time, especially for Ed and maybe even for Monty, is that volunteering and council input and work is going to probably be a lot different. And so that's why I prepared that first one. The second one on the proposals for the council, when the town council was first formed, the 5 council members were literally responsible for getting their little areas done. So if you had streets, you were the one who arranged to have the streets graded every year when they were dirt. You were the ones who contracted to have the snow pushed. You were the ones who helped develop the parks with the Ladies Flower Club. Believe it or not, that was a big one in the 20s. What I see happening is we're going to end up a lot more like that. And so what I did is I took the responsibilities that I see are facing the council and just said, this might be a way to divide those up. Once again, this is entirely up to the council and the next mayor, how you approach these things. If I was going to be mayor, we'd be working on it right now, but that is not something I want to push my agenda on. And so I'm leaving that up to you as far as how you see your positions and what kind of work you want to do. Once upon a time, the mayor before me, he came in only if he was called to sign checks or documents, and he was here for the meeting. I mean, that's all he did. Never attended any other meetings, never was involved in anything else. I took a little bit different approach to it, so it definitely is going to be something up to all of you, and I just gave both of those for your information only. And that's everything from me. Any questions? I do have 2 more meetings. I've got.
This elected officials.
Oh, that
essentials,
is.
That should maybe be passed on to people who are on the ballot.
Actually, it is suggested that even if you aren't on the ballot, that you take it to catch up on.
Yeah, I'm not opposed to taking it myself
Right.
again as a refresher, but because it's happening in December before
Yeah.
they take office, they need to know to sign up for this.
Yeah,
after
I
the
will,
election.
once we have the ballot, I will make sure that both the new council member and the new mayor have that information. This is the newest AWC and MRSC handbook, mayor and council members. This is basically your extra copy for the council. It is available online, and I have it and the Small Cities Workbook hard copies in my office. So those have always been resources for me. So you can, I'll leave this one here, and you can borrow it as you please. And like I said, it's available online, so you can take a look. This is the newest as far as legislative changes is concerned. It'll change again next year, once the legislature is done. So we do have that. And oh, I know what the other thing was. Sorry, everybody. We have signed off, and this is actually under old business. We have signed off on the bidding process for the dry well project. And so that finally passed all the legal musters, and the bids are gonna go out, so we are excited for that, and come the spring, we will have a dry well project, which I am very excited about. Anything else? All right, moving on to old business, told you, Kay.
Yeah, so Mark Alvin's been in contact with us, and I just talked to Tara, we got the proposal signed. We were gifted money to do this part. That money is going to be used for at least this initial stage. Basically, they're going to take the spot next to us, fill in what would have been the old offices and walkway down, and then essentially pave over the top of it with some planters and walkways and different things. And that work starts on, next Monday. There's the plans. It'll be a relatively small space, about 12 feet off of the sidewalk, but it will be a nice spot to sit and relax and different things like that. It's to honor Kubotas and along with that, Roger. So
The told you is ate a lot backwards. He didn't want his name on anything, so we figured out a nice way to do it. And the Kubota family didn't want their name on anything else, which is why it's just a K. Anything there? I will say that the Tolja K Park is, with that development, it's going to put the elves in a whole nother, what the council will have to decide this in the next month or so, as far as the elf displays, because we'll lose that entire section. We do have other sections, but those aren't our pieces of property either, so and we haven't had a lot of feedback on elf angels, so we're not even sure what their future is, but just be aware that we might have more garage space next year.
Is there someone in charge of the elves? Is there someone in charge of the elves?
No one has stepped up.
And who owns them? Who are their property of? Is it the town or?
Well, the elves belong to the town, but there had always, they were originally Team McGowan's elves, and then she had people, Sammy Arnell was involved for a number of years. But the last couple of years, finding volunteers to put them up and take them down has been more than problematic. And now with the park being developed, we lose this entire space as far as the elf displays are concerned. And so finding volunteers are going to become a way of life, but this is one project that is.
Is there any way to tap the school for community service hours and have to oversee?
I can check.
Those students, because, I mean, if you have somebody overseeing them, then you
Which
have
is, yeah.
the muscle to put those boards or however they are displayed in place, but then those students get their community service hours.
I will call Ms. Kane in the morning. Nice idea. Once again, finding someone to monitor teenagers is always
Community
exciting.
service, I mean, that could be used for a number of things.
Oh,
Besides
yes.
the elves as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You definitely need repaired.
Other,
It's definitely a project in itself.
okay, that's good. All right, TIB, we got our crack sealant down. We went from little white dots to long black snakes, but it also does protect the roads from at least some winter damage, and they'll go from there. The second part of the grant, the safety part of it, will be next year. Those funds were moved. And so we'll be looking at, hopefully, if the legislature keeps TIB where it's supposed to be, we will have solar paneled speed lights on either side of the ends of the highway. So that will be just a good reminder to get people to slow down. And then TIB also is looking at some kind of traffic control in the Grandview Fifth Avenue intersection because of how it doesn't meet. And part of it might be moving the planter, part of it might be a divider coming up Grandview to the top of the hill, so people don't cut the corners, that they actually have to come forward and then turn onto the street. But those proposals will be for future next year's decision, and so once again, that'll be on the next year's plate. And the one they had is one of the suggestions is a traffic circle. But it means that the church loses its parking because the circle would include the church parking lot. But interestingly enough, that is town property. So, you can tell the Congregationalists to park someplace else if you want that circle. And we all know how all of you feel about traffic circles.
Does signage fall under this TIB thing?
TIB?
Signage, does signage fall under this jurisdiction?
Yeah.
So I'm just wondering about, because as we all know, during the winter, it's just a giant snow mound on this entrance to the town. And maybe this is not worth it, but like, I wonder if mentioning that there's another town entrance further down the road.
Oh, I see what, like when we close off Washington, that they
Yeah.
know to go, we need a temporary signage.
Yeah, because you know those signs that flip up?
Yeah.
Like, so town entrance,
Ah.
quarter mile or whatever it is, 1,000 feet down the road, just, we get driven by so much, anything to pull people in during the winter
Where's your
would
sign?
be great.
So is it too late to get loose in the mayoral run?
I'm running a business, I'm okay.
That's an interesting suggestion.
Same with the electrical charging station, I don't know if that's theirs or if that's our,
It's PUDs.
that's PUD,
I think
okay.
most people who use EV have an app that tells them exactly
Okay.
where they are.
Well, sometimes people don't have service, so
Yeah.
I think it's, whether it's PUD or TIBs, I feel like it'd be worth it to have a couple of those signs
Sure.
along the highway.
We can see what we can do. What's nice is TIB's grant funding is all about safety and improvement. And they do put a priority on the littler town, well, they have two separate categories. For the little towns, it's those kind of projects that they're looking, how do you make people safer? How do you make signage work? And we're one of the only little towns where our business district is not on the highway. A lot of them, I mean, that is a major problem where, even Ione skirts that. The highway is not going through the middle of town. And I don't know if Metaline has a middle of town.
It's the highway.
It's a highway. Okay, so, but I like that. Thank you. I talked about the stormwater, and I don't have anything else. Budget hearings. We finished the budget hearing on Sunday. And what we know is we need to have at least one more work session. We agreed on Sunday, October 26th at 2 p.m. That'll be publicized in the Sun and also some posters up around town so that we can come back and work on that, but I don't know if we're gonna need a second one.
I'm guessing it would be nice to have one more before November 11th.
Okay, so when we're looking at our calendars, if that's on the 26th, we could look conceivably the following week. The council meeting is the 11th. The council meeting is 11th, so we could look at the anywhere between Sunday the 2nd and the 10th. So I'm just looking at the council as far as when you might find.
Sunday the 2nd sounds good to me.
If it is the 2nd, I won't be able to attend, but you don't need me. Just for your edification, I have stepped away from the budget hearings as far as an active participation because I'm a lame duck and
I think
it's
the
not.
second would be good, because then if things are really.
Sunday again
Yeah, it works for me anyway.
at 2 o'clock,
Yeah.
council? Okay, then we still need to have 2 public hearings unless we count that as a hearing, a workshop dash hearing, but it would be looking at a final budget. We have to have 2 hearings presenting the budget. So, now remember,
We can pass the budget in December if necessary,
yes,
right?
if necessary, we can go ahead and have the first hearing prior to the 11th. It's usually a 15-minute meeting.
And then the second one, we could do December 9th.
Yeah,
Is that okay with everyone else?
I think that would be probably your best option, is just do it at 5:45, both council meetings, and then you'll pass the budget in December. It also gives the public enough time to come in, because once we finish the workshops, I think we do have to really get the word out as far as what the budget is gonna be, that we're working on trying to avoid a deficit budget, but that may not be possible. And so then, getting the public aware, whether they come to hearings or not, I don't know, but we will have to really work at getting the word out. Okay, then we will, so that's gonna be December 9th and November 11th at 5:45. Okay, I will make sure all of those get into the sun. And we will go from there. Thank you very much on that, council. Any other old business? To new business, okay, we just did sorry, I duplicated that. Policy and ordinances, updates and enforcement. Fran has made a generous offer to spearhead that work. And Fran, I should have I've still got the old book with me. And so I will get that to you with my notes and things, and you can start to look. What it did is it took what I've done is taken all the ordinances and pulled out anything that doesn't have to do with a law, because a lot of our ordinances are budgetary or things like that.
Is it just one person working on the ordinances, or is?
Right now, Fran's going to do some preliminary work, and then this is going to be a project for next year.
Okay.
Is literally going through all the ordinances and updating the ones that we need. I mean, like there are a bunch of them that go back to the 60s.
I think once we figure out exactly what needs to be in the ordinance to make it enforceable, then we just need to pick the most important ones and work through them one at a
and
time.
work through them.
But knowing what needs to go in each one is the place to start.
Yep.
Likewise, hopefully I can do some policy work with financial and personnel policies being, in my mind, the most important ones to start with, but
Yep.
I don't know the timeline on that.
Yeah. So it's going to be an ongoing process, but it is something that the council is definitely going to be working on. But once again, any of those, anytime you change an ordinance, you've got to have a hearing on it. So,
Yeah.
Unless it's like what we're gonna do on the resolutions don't, ordinances. You sort of have to let the public know what you're doing.
Are these all digitized already, or are they scanned?
No, we haven't really done any. The last policy, we did personnel work and we redid ordinances for animal control. And way back, we did one on vehicles and trailers. That you can't live in a camper or a trailer for more than 3 months, and if you do, you have to be doing it because you're renovating your home.
We have binders with all of them going back, and then like best case scenario, we have some of them put Word documents on the
Yeah.
hard drive somewhere.
Is part of it like enforcement with licensing pets. How do we go around and make sure everybody's dog has a license on his collar? And believe it or not, your cats have to be licensed, but they don't necessarily have to wear them. So, except if they get picked up in a skunk cage, then it's nice to know who it belongs to. So, you let him go, right? I'd love to see the head nodding on that. 33 skunks and 1 cat, so,
38 skunks. 2 cats.
Oh, 2 cats. I stand corrected.
40 black cat.
A black cat.
2 black cats.
Who's got black cats anymore? All right, believe it or not, we're going to do something constructive. Every year, the Department of Revenue, Washington State, sends us in order to comply with RCW 84-55-120, we have to pass an ordinance or resolution, and I get to read. Whereas the Council of the Town of Metaline Falls has met and considered its budget for the calendar year 2026. Please understand, this is retro. Whereas the district actually levy amount from the previous year was $26,143.74. And whereas the population of this district is less than 10,000, and that's important. Now therefore be it resolved by the governing body of the taxing district that an increase in the regular property tax levy is hereby authorized for the levy to be collected in the 2026 tax year. The dollar amount of this increase over the actual levy amount from the previous year shall be $261.44. State law prohibits a town from increasing its property tax revenue by more than 1%. So literally we just get another $261. We tried to get the AWC lobbying, and a lot of the towns, we went to bat on this one and wrote our representatives, and we petitioned and tried to get that increased, and it failed. And there's just enough people who don't want to, especially the bigger cities, but they have other revenue. It's the little towns that really needed it. So anyway, 261, which is a percentage increase of 1% from the previous year. The increase is exclusive of additional revenues resulting from new construction, improvement to property, newly constructed wind turbines, solar, biomass, and geothermal facilities. I don't think we have any of those. And any increase in the value of state-assessed property, any annexations that may have occurred, and refunds made, adopted this 14th day of October 2025. This is a statement of our acknowledgement for our tax, the tax monies we will receive for next year. Is there any?
I just want to move to adopt it.
Thank you. A motion has been made to adopt. There is a second from the other Maxwell. Any discussion or questions? Once again, we do this every year. This is a standard form from the state. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion passes. We will have, once our budget is passed, will have another document to go through, once again, another standardized, but it has to do with our actual budget. Okay, that can be copied and sent off, and then, but the other 2 pages just stick back in my box.
Okay.
Okay,
Keep a copy of each one in the binder of resolutions. You can just look at last year's to see how that was entered in our binder.
yeah. All right, any other new business? Anything for the good of the community? We will be going into executive session as soon as this meeting is ending. This means that we need to clear the room except for the council and myself for executive session. And unless there is anything further, we stand adjourned. Yes. You cannot, no, you cannot film. Yep. This is executive, this is personnel, and that is all. Man, I like the idea of
They weren't out.
Washington closure sign that's really visible. That would make,
Yeah.
because,
So I have one.
of course, a lot of it really depends on how much snow we have down there. If we've got a great big berm, it's sort of obvious, so. Yeah,
I think her point was if you were coming from that direction.
exactly.
To know
We have to-
that
You've got another, yeah, you've got
So
another
probably just put it over
entrance.
there and,
But I have a copy of what I wanted to look for.
Oh, okay, that's, this is.